I recall receiving a comment on my reMarkable Paper Pro Move video which said something like, once the novelty is worn off, you'll stop using it after a week and it'll just gather dust in a drawer. Well, it's been 6 months with the reMarkable Paper Pro Move for me, and I'm still using it every single week. Hey friends, Mark from the Spark here. Thank you for pressing play. So yeah, 6 months in, I'm still reaching for the Paper Pro Move almost instinctively when I want to take quick handwritten notes. And ultimately, it's the size of the thing. It's small enough that it just fits into life. I don't even think about just chucking it in my bag, and I don't feel like I'm carrying around another bit of tech. It's just closer to a notepad than a tablet. And I think that's why I probably use it the most. And in client situations, I've noticed this. It looks better than tapping into my phone. If you're tapping on a phone, it just looks like you're distracted. When I'm writing on this, it's obvious that I'm taking notes. It just feels more intentional. And battery life is another one of those quiet strengths. I just don't think about it. reMarkable say you can get up to 2 weeks on a charge with kind of regular use, and to be fair, that's not far off. In fact, I probably plug it in a couple of times a month. If that, it's never caught me out. My overall opinion really hasn't changed since that unboxing and first impressions video. I really value the form factor, and it has stayed in regular use. There are a few features I thought I'd lean into more, but I haven't. The basics, the writing, the size, the simplicity, they've all held up. 6 months on, and my initial thoughts on the writing experience on this thing still feels great. It doesn't feel like writing on glass. There's a nice resistance to it. It's controlled and it feels deliberate. I don't sit there thinking about latency or screen tech. It just responds the way I expect a pen on paper to. You've got your usual tools, pens, markers, highlighters. You can change thickness, undo things, resize bits if you need to. For how I use it, which is mostly straightforward note-taking and the occasional sketch, that's more than enough. I'm not pushing it creatively, not as much as I assumed I would. It turns out I just want it to work doing one thing well. Now, if I had to be picky, it's obviously narrower than a slab, something like the Kindle Scribe or the iPad. So it does feel tighter when you're writing, and get annoyed when my wrist starts falling off the edge. If you're used to a bigger writing surface, there is an adjustment to be made, but that's the trade-off for it being easier to carry around. Compared to the Kindle Scribe, they're actually quite close in terms of how they feel to write on, but despite my love of my Kindle Scribe, I'd probably lean towards the reMarkable being a better feeling surface to write on. It's not a dramatic difference, and in my opinion, this might even change when I finally get to try the Kindle Scribe Colorsoft, as apparently Amazon have made a change to the surface on that. And the iPad just isn't in the conversation for note-taking for me, despite my use of Paperlike screen protectors. I use the Apple Pencil for thumbnail and image editing. For handwriting, the Move is just massively superior and wins comfortably. When I need help to think something through, the Move is what I reach for. If I'm working out a video setup, where the camera's going, where people are sitting, what the background might look like, I'll grab the Move and I'll just sketch it out. Nothing fancy, boxes, arrows, rough shapes. It's quicker than opening an app and trying to drag things around on a screen. The fact that it's compact makes a difference. I don't have to commit to, right, I'm going in now into productivity mode. I just pull this thing out, tap the plus button for a quick sheet, and I simply start writing. No notifications, no apps competing for attention. It's just a literal blank page. The same for broader planning. If I'm thinking something through, I'd rather scribble it out than type it. There's something about physically writing that it helps me slow down and process properly. Now, technically, it does have cloud syncing. You can link it up to Google Drive, Dropbox, all of that. But that's behind the subscription, and I cancelled that pretty early on. I realized I didn't need it. I'm not exporting notes. I'm not moving things between devices. This mostly stays in its own lane as a standalone notebook. I actually like that. I'm still planning scripts on the iPad with a keyboard, but the Move has replaced my Kindle for everyday handwritten notes. If I need to jot something down, this is what I reach for. And after 6 months, that's probably the clearest sign that it has indeed earned its place. Colour is available on the Move, 9 options in total, I think, and on paper, if you'll excuse the pun, that sounds brilliant. But the reality is, I don't use colour very much at all, and that's partly down to how this screen handles colour. Unlike a tablet where colours appear almost instantly, this display actually shifts tiny coloured particles around to create the final shade. So when you write in colour, you'll often see the stroke appear darker first, then settle into the chosen colour after quite a few refreshes or flashes. And it's not a fault, it's just how this kind of colour e-ink works. Some other colour e-ink devices take a different approach. They use regular black and white panel, place a colour filter layer over the top. But the Move doesn't do that. It generates colour within each pixel itself, which is technically clever, and the colours do look more natural because of it. But in practice, that refresh behaviour is noticeable, and for me, it's just enough that I mostly stick with black and white. I'll occasionally highlight, but colour hasn't really become part of how I work. For example, I tried downloading some of the free colour journals and planners that reMarkable offers. Even though I was writing in black and white, the parts of the journal itself were in colour, so the screen seemed to be refreshing more often, and after a while that became a bit annoying. As for reading, yes, it'll open PDFs and EPUB files. I just haven't used it that way. Getting documents onto it feels slightly more involved than I'd like, and I didn't buy it as a reading device anyway. Even with the front light on and having activated the extra bright setting, which comes with a warning from reMarkable about battery life, I still wish it would go that little bit brighter. I mean, it's totally usable, absolutely, and you may not even be bothered by that, but if you're used to a Kindle or something like it, you'll notice the difference. So for me, this has stayed firmly in the note first category. I don't reach for it to read, I reach for it to write. Other than my minor gripe about the brightness, there really haven't been any major irritations over the last 6 months. The only other thing I've mentioned already is the way that colour is handled. It's not a deal breaker, but it's the one part of the experience that hasn't fully clicked for me. Battery life, though, as I said at the start, has been solid. I don't track it, I don't think about it. I just charge it when I remember. Like I said, maybe a couple of times a month, and it's never caught me out. And that's probably the best compliment that I can give this. Where it does make you pause is the price. It isn't cheap. It starts at around £400 before you add a different stylus or case cover. Now, as a YouTuber that focuses in on e-ink devices, buying a Move was made more palatable as I knew I would also use it as video content. However, when you step back and look at what it actually does, which is essentially act as a very refined digital notebook, only you can decide whether the Move is worth that high price. You're paying for focus, build quality, and form factor. And that's either something that you value, regardless of cost, or it isn't. When I compare the Move to the Scribe, aside from the Colour Scribe Colour Soft until I can test it, the difference isn't dramatic, but they do feel slightly tuned for different things. If I'm thinking about reading, accessing books, annotating documents or just being plugged into the Kindle ecosystem, the Scribe obviously makes more sense. That's where it's stronger. The Move, on the other hand, just feels more focused. It feels like it exists primarily for handwriting. There's less going on. There's fewer temptations. It's just a writing surface. So for me, it comes down to emphasis. If I want a distraction-free note surface, the Move wins outright. If I want reading, documents, and ecosystem integration, well, the Scribe makes more sense. Neither is right or wrong. It just depends what you actually want the device to do. And I think both can have a place if you want it. So after 6 months, that's where I've landed. No dramatic shift, no big surprise. This thing has just stayed extremely useful. It hasn't tried to be everything. It hasn't replaced my iPad. It hasn't replaced the Kindle ecosystem, obviously. But as a focused, compact writing device, it's definitely earned its place. And the fact that I still reach for it without even thinking probably says more about this than any spec sheet ever could. Now, it's not perfect. Colour isn't as useful as I'd hoped, and it is indeed expensive. But it does exactly what it sets out to do. It gives you a focused, distraction-free, portable writing experience. If you've used the Move, I'd be interested to know, has your experience been similar to mine or completely different? Do let me know in the comments. Now, if you found this 6 months later video useful, please do consider subscribing, liking, or hyping. And if you're interested in weekly updates about Kindles, iPads, and other related tech, then please do go check out my second channel, The Weekly Spark. That's where I post a regular news roundup every Friday. And if you do want to take your subscription just a little bit further, you can always buy me a digital coffee. You can scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description. Obviously optional, but always appreciated. And if you'd like to watch that original first impressions video of the Paper Pro Move that I mentioned earlier in this video, you'll find that just here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.